Our next
Two
guest.
dudes from Make Us Home on the show is legendary. I just want y'all to know that. All right.
Hey,
legendary. Speaking of legends,
speaking of legends,
Coach Watson,
the mastermind.
Yeah, Coach Watson, man. This is the game changer, as Rob like to call it.
No, man.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Coach Watson, I ain't even got no question, right? I just got something to say. We gonna talk about your season this year, but you got a bad naysayer coming next year, though. That boy is electric. You know what I'm saying? Electric. He is going to make you a very happy coach when he put the South Houston Trojan uniform on. And if y'all know what I'm talking about, do your research on James Henry, aka Temp, man. That boy a bucket.
Yes, sir.
Say that. We'll start it off like this.
Yeah, and Muhammad little brother can shoot.
Muhammad little brother can shoot the cover off the ball.
And sure I don't know the kid. I don't know the kid name, but the Hispanic kid.
What number?
Oh no, 32.
Eric,
he's a force. Oh
yeah,
he a force. Yeah.
That group, that 8th grade group, they won back-to-back district championships, Pasadena ISD. I've seen most of those kids since they were 6th graders.
Hey, y'all know Coach Frank was gonna have them damn names. Y'all knew he gonna know them kids. He is the master of information. Y'all crazy if y'all thought he wasn't gonna know. Look, he got
them on the spreadsheet with their address.
Yeah, he already got them.
They be coming around
on Thursday night and everything.
Yes, sir. Preparation.
Yeah. Coach, all seriousness, I've known you from D1 Houston. Even then, always prepared. You had kids, always bought in. Went over to Goose Creek as an assistant, changed culture. You get the job at South Houston. Rough start, changed culture. Just talk about what it is that you do that you pour in to make kids buy in. Like that's rare. Like a lot of kids just don't buy in. But there's a very few coaches where they do.
Well, the first thing I do is I fast and I pray. And I just always hope to have God's favor on the things I do. Because once I do that, then I understand if I'm putting him first, then the desires of my heart will come second. And the biggest thing about changing culture is being an example. And then also you got to provide a fun regimen for them to do. And then once they start doing it, you have to consistently evaluate and measure and make things competitive. And then you throw in your cultural, your pillars and your motto and, the verbiage and things like that. That always helps culture too. But it always starts with, I think, as leaders, you got to make sure that your heart is aligned with the ultimate leader of all of us. And once you do that and you put that work in and those kids see you working, you never want to leave the gym early before everybody. Make sure you're the last one there. And then also we do a lot of evaluation as far as like quarterly. Let's just say, for example, if we do in a spring league, I'll sit all those players down and participate in a spring league and we'll evaluate their stats because we do video of everything. We evaluate their stats, we evaluate their body language, tell them what they need to work on in the spring. Then when the summer comes, there's another evaluation. But a part of that is, did you accomplish what we asked you to do from the spring? And so those kids are always seeing measurables and they're seeing growth. And I think with a young man, let's say, for example, let's say you got a kid, because we do like 3/4 sprint, we do lane agility, vertical jump, right? And then we do a fast twitch workout. So we get all those measurements. 6 weeks later, you might have a kid that couldn't jump high. He had a 23-inch vertical. But after them 6 weeks, if he's jumping 26, guess what? He's happy and he's bought in because he's seen a measurable to where, hey, if I work hard, I could get something, So I think it starts with that.
Speaking of that, one thing I have noticed about you, and we've talked. You have incredible sideline poise, right? That does not mean you do not get on them kids' ass and hold them accountable. No way. I figured this out when I sat really close to y'all in Baytown, right? Mm-hmm. You really be getting on them kids' butt and you hold them accountable. But your sideline poise, late games, close games, like you never look like you're losing or winning, right? Where does that come from, and how does that translate to your players? Because you guys have won some really close games. You guys have won some games that no one has thought, you should even be into. So how does your poise come into play, and how do you feel like that affects your players?
I think with this group, like the group you're seeing now, that poise comes from me, I think, knowing how to talk to my kids. Because this group actually, the class of 2024, when I came to South Houston and I started summer training like June 2021. And so all those kids was coming out of their freshman year and the sophomore year. And then I had an 8th grader, Jordan Buckner, that was joining workouts. So I've been working with those dudes year round for a long time. I wasn't always so poised. Like sometimes I would, get out of character and I've broken clipboards and done all kind of things. But this year,
you got to.
One thing I figured out with these guys is how to talk to them to get the positive results. And really, you gotta kill yourself sometimes in your ego and what you want, and trying to look like a fusser and trying to look like you coaching. And you got to say the things that need to be said in the right way to your best players to get the result. It's about getting the result. It's not about how it looks. And so with this group, I figured out the more that I could really just not, because what I would see was when I got emotional, they got over emotional, So if I got mad, then now they're mad, and now they're, and so I had to be, one of the things I actually worked in a juvenile detention facility for a little bit of time, and they taught us this idea called being a solid object model. And so regardless of your surroundings, because in that, arena, you could be in a pod with 12 juvenile offenders. You can't look like you're upset about things. You can't look too happy. You got to always be even keel. And so with my kids, the more even and poised I am, I feel like the more I could coach them through their slumps. And then I could fire up when I need to. If they're being lazy, I could sense it. I could fire up and just really start, getting on everybody. And they've been responding well this year. Just really glad with that group because, like I said, most of those guys that you see now that are really performing, they were coming out of their freshman year 3 years ago on an 8th grader. And so now they're on a big platform. And we developed a tough schedule for them to really get exposure during the year and during TABC in summer and spring. And they really, starting to reap the fruits of their labor now. So really excited for them.
So, Coach, you actually just segued into a question that I was going to ask you. I know every year coaches go in thinking it's going to be the year we make a run, whether it is or not. But I noticed, and I talk about this a lot when we bring up your team, that with the influx of young and old talent that you had coming in this year, you scheduled kind of differently this year, right? You scheduled tougher than you had in prior years. What went into the calculation of you scheduling like Shadow Creek on the road, Maid Creek when they was fully loaded on the road? Like, what was the thought process behind it when you was doing the schedule for this year?
Really just developing tough guards that could win games during district. And so for me, I say Jordan Buckner is a tough guard. Josh Larry's a tough guard. Ken Webb's a tough guard. It ain't about talk. It's about, do they play against other tough guards? So we schedule Shadow Creek because they got a guy that's really good, and then, other games like that, it's the same scenario, going to tougher tournaments and really just testing ourselves so that we could be battle tested when the time comes. Playing a team like Hitchcock, like people don't realize how athletic Hitchcock is and the type of guard play they got.
Yes, they are.
That's the type of game that, made us better. So when I was at the University of Houston, that was one of my jobs to schedule teams. So just learning from Coach Penders and Coach Melvin Harrelson about just the strategy of how to put a schedule together really helped me as a head coach. And I will say this, we hit a slump where, I really had to change up some of the things I was doing, my practice plan, and just figure out how to get more out of them defensively. Because I don't know if you guys remember, beginning of the year, we was a little inconsistent. We win some and lose something. But then we lost to a team. I hope it ain't bad. I bring this up, but we lost to a team out of Austin, Leander Glenn, I think. We were in what was that tournament? Classic. So we lost to them. And after that, practice intensity really picked up, and I had to really start calling some things out, and we had to change some things in our practice plan. And so since that point, the next 20 games, we won 18 out of 20, And so I think really just being able to evaluate kids measure things, make the adjustment. Don't get set in your ways as a coach and just blame them for everything that go wrong. You, the leader, make the adjustment and, fix it. So hopefully I answered that like you asked.
For sure. Great answer.
Coach, one guy you mentioned, right? Well, G-Day, I'm sorry. I know this is my second question. What you got, G-Day?
No, go ahead. I thought Doug had a question.
One guy you mentioned, and he has become my favorite. One of my favorite. I ain't gonna say my favorite because I don't want to offend nobody. AJ Bates texts me every time I say something on the show. But one guy that has become one of my favorite guys is Jordan Buckley. The kid, every game I think I've been to, he has hit some big shots, right? But he has a pattern that I've noticed. He doesn't seem to like offensively force anything in the first quarter. But in the third and fourth quarter, he demands the basketball and he makes big shots. Just give people who haven't seen you play, just give them. And I don't want to make it seem like we outshining anybody, but this is just a kid I just kind of wanted to bring some attention to because I do feel like he might be a little underrated because he can really play. But just talk about Jordan Buckner and what he's meant for you guys this season.
Jordan Buckner came in, like I said, started off-season workout as an 8th grader. And every time that we did his player meetings, he had goals. So he's been through, you're talking about now junior year, and we meet pretty much seasonally with quarter stuff that's really official. And he's always grown and developed his game. I will say this, the one thing about Jordan is his ability to read and react the game. Whenever he is poised, and he's really just playing to make the right basketball play, everything flows for him. He's the type of guy I always tell him, like, you're going to play 28 to 32 minutes a game. So it's almost like a boxing match. That first quarter, that first couple of minutes, because we break everything we do, we break it down quarter by quarter, right? So with my team, and I guess I'll just say this, sometimes if we're nervous, we get to shooting too many threes and we get too nervous, right? His job is to always pull guys aside and talk to them, read and react based on our plays. We run a lot of pistol action that has just different counters. And so it's his job to understand, okay, when do we call this play for the back door? When do we call this play when we throw it down to the big? Transition offense. You have to pitch the ball ahead and keep people involved because when they're involved, that ball's going to come back to you. One of the big things with Jordan, he's good catch and shoot, 3-point shooter when his feet are set. And so really just getting him to, and he's been involved in a lot of film study over the years. And so he's one of those guys in film that can answer questions and give good insight. And so just developing his game mentally and then him understanding how the game flows and how to control it as guard. He's a guy, I think, at the next level that can be a college point guard. And he could go and make a team better. If you got a shooting guard that's already averaging 20, Jordan can get him to average 25. Just because he knows how to read and react and respond to whatever play system you got going.
No, I really like Jordan, man. Hey, in anything here, Instagram model, man. Boy, come out straight out the locker room, got his earrings on and his chain on, man. Boy, I tell you, boy, he think he handsome like me, man.
Yeah, he got a little style about him.
Yeah, he got some swag, man. I like that kid.
Yes, sir.
Doug, you had a question for Coach?
Nah, man. I just appreciate all the info Coach been giving since the Brazoria Baller days. Like,
oh man,
all the way back, yeah, all the way back to the Brazoria Baller days, man. Like, nobody's more prepared. Like, if anybody gonna say that you don't have your kids prepared, they lying, they hate. Like I just salute all the info you give us as media guys to keep up with your program, and man, just continue what you're doing, bro. Like it's refreshing the fact that you really care about the kids, bro. So that's all I got to say.
Sure.
Yeah, man, we want to put everybody in the best position to be successful. Not every kid is a college player. Some of these kids just need the structure and a win today, everyday mentality. I had one of my student managers actually come to a game, and he's actually in welding school right now. And he was just real appreciative of the culture we had and how he benefited from it. And so now he's finna get his welding certificate. So it all goes full circle. But now that since I'm on, I want to give you guys a compliment and really just thank you for the innovation that you all have brought to the city and the way that you've done things over, I'll just say the last 5 years with, everybody on this panel. you need a little extra flavor, I think, in Houston. This is a big market. And the way that you all cover it in the various ways you cover it is really a blessing to these kids, you know. And I don't know if you getting your flowers as much as you should. But if you need to know something about a kid in Houston, somebody on this panel got that information if you're a college coach. And so I just want to give y'all's flowers while you're here and know that you appreciate it, you know, by us and by, you know, other kids in the city.
No,
hey, man, about to bring the tears to my eye, man.
Appreciate it, man. Look at Rob, man.
Yeah, man.
Hey, man.
What's up, man?
I got a G-Day. We got another coach on after Coach Watson.
Yeah, but go ahead.
Real quick, and this is non-basketball related, but it's basketball related because I think you're using a cheat code, and I just wanna see if I'm right because you wasn't even prepped about this, and this is just what I've been thinking over the last 4 or 5 months. How big is that Pasadena social video communication network that's in your gym? How big has that been able to help your program? You got a bird's eye coop in the top to film your practice. You got a media room in the back to interview. How does that get those kids media trained? Because when I put the iPhone in Jordan Buckner's face at MI3 at the beginning of the year with you and him, and y'all didn't miss a beat. Y'all didn't. It wasn't no retake, nothing. Wasn't no. So how big is that for what you and South Houston have going?
So basically we have this thing called Trojan TV at the school. And so Trojan TV goes around and does interviews with different kids on different topics, so forth and so on. And we do media training. Like I'll bring the kids to the side and say, hey, anything that you say with a camera got to be team related, you know, smile as much as you can, have good body language. And the big thing I think in the Pasadena area is we don't have a lot of athletes, and that's just across specifically like Pasadena, Sam Rayburn, and South Houston. We just got a different demographic. And so the social media side and the media side is just something that encourages kids to participate outside of playing because they know they're going to get a highlight video or, you know, there'll be pictures taken, especially during the Invitational. Texas Invitational, it's media all over the place and, you know, a lot of photos and things. And so those kids really feed off that social media. And so for me, I can't be too old school. I really don't care much about social media with my personal life. But with my program is a big part of what we do because these kids feed off of that positive exposure. So why not give it to them? It's something they like. It encourages them to show up every day. So, yeah, we do media training with those guys. And so they normally pretty prepared to talk the right way in front of a camera.
That's big, man. Oh, that's big.
It is.
That's big. Hey, shout out to Elton Dyer, man. Retire that dude jersey.
Yeah, talk about that jersey,
bro.
Yeah, man.
Retire that dude jersey, man. Shout out to him.
If it was up to me, it'd be done. He's been
we already know.
He's been a good asset to the program. And since we're talking about assistant coaches, you know, with Elton Dyer, man, Coach Harold Collier, we went to, like I said, we were struggling a little bit in the preseason, and me and him sat down with other coaches. We developed a workout called a fourth quarter workout. And it's basically a high intensity interval training, 30 minutes, 20 minutes. And it's like constant movement. And he was a beast in that weight room with those guys, along with the other assistant coaches and myself. And we really developed a fourth quarter mentality, been able to win some games because of him. Coach Phelps, my JV coach, came in from middle school, has been outstanding. The JV went 10-2 for the first time in a long time. Our sub-varsity struggle, you know, because it takes kids maybe 2 years or so to really get it. Coach McMillan, my line brother, Coach McMillan, he's been outstanding. So, I mean, I don't want to sit on this platform and act like I don't have help because those guys buy into a year-round regimen where they don't get extra days on their check. They get the same little stipend, you know. So, I definitely appreciate
it. Man.
Yes, sir.
That's love. Shout out to
Before you go, what fraternity, Coach?
The Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated.
Yes, sir.
The only real
fraternity.
Hey, Texas Invitational. I was between him and Coach Gabe at Cy Ridge.
Lord, how much barking was going on? Lord,
I was next to a Carl bag out here, man.
He's a good bro. He's a good bro, man.
Yes, he is.
And Coach Geoffrey too, from Westfield.
Yeah,
you know, Coach. He's an Omega too.
Okay.
Hey man, look, that was the only fraternity I ever considered. I swear to God, that was the only one I ever considered joining for sure.
All right.
We appreciate you, Coach Watson. Man.
Good luck. I
be
will
in
the building tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.